you hear that? Oh, this is celestial music from Katya Grineva, who is here playing. Well, she actually plays all over the world. She's been trained from age 6 in Moscow. She's played at the Moscow Conservatory where she was trained. She was a student at Mena School of Music here in New York on full scholarship. And she's been concertizing actually around the world. She's appeared at Carnegie Hall several times, and she will be there again very soon, Wednesday, May 23rd at 8 p.m. And surely it's a concert that you don't want to miss. We're very glad to be seated with Katya here at Clavier House on West 58th Street, live on location. So you'll be hearing some of the ambient sounds along with the piano. And we're very glad to be seated here with Katya to talk about music and what it means to her and what the implications of this kind of playing are for the rest of us who are fortunate enough to be part of the audience. Katya, thanks so much for being on the show.
It's my pleasure, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. We are seated here at a piano that is just one of the most extraordinary instruments that you, in your lifetime of playing, have ever played upon.
Yes.
Why don't you just tell us a little bit about what it was like to just play the Chopin and the others for us?
I think that this piano reminds me of piano of Horowitz. And Horowitz is my favorite pianist, of course.
Yes.
And when I was a little girl, not very little, but I was present at his last concert in Moscow, you know, and we were sitting in the 4th row with me and my mother. And I remember thinking, this is the way music should be. The way the sounds were coming was so pure and so like heavenly. And I never heard anything like this after, and not before. And on Sunday I had rehearsal at Carnegie Hall, and of course I went around the corner and walked in the store, and I saw the piano, and I just walked to it, and I touched, and I made few sounds, and I thought, this is amazing. So the owner came out, Sujatra, and said, you like it? Take it for Carnegie Hall. It's a very special piano. And
that's incredible.
So for me, when I play the piano, I think that piano has a soul on its own, and
yes.
I'm just so lucky that it happened like this. I never could dream of that. I would never dream that I would walk in and I see a piano and it would touch me.
And you had never been here before?
I've been 3 years ago to the same store when they used to be around Lincoln Center, and I never been to this. I was just passing by on the street because they have a lot of piano stores, and
sure.
Walked in, really.
It's incredible.
So I think I was guided to come here.
Yes. I too have played piano. It's embarrassing to say that sitting next to you, but I have been trained to some extent in jazz piano. And the action was so unusual and beautiful and soft to the touch.
And light.
Oh my God, I said,
yes.
This is fabulous. This is just fabulous.
And this piano is very special. It was made in 1881, so it's really was made, and it was only like 500 pianos made like that.
Exactly.
And I think that people used to put so much soul and heart into each instrument.
Yes.
So it's like having a great Stradivari violin or cello.
Exactly, especially the Steinways.
Yeah.
So let's get into something, Katya, that I've been just burning to ask you since we've met, and I've had the joy of hearing you play. You express such feeling, such sentiment when you play. I also know that you have played for spiritual teachers, and I know that one of the reasons that you have magnetized them and them you is because you bring your soul to the piano. I'd like to know what it's like to have played for so long, for so many years, and then to close your eyes and enter the space of playing. What is it like to be on the inside of that experience?
Well, at the best moments of that experience, I think what you experience is that it's not really you, that music exists on its own, and you're just present. You know, your fingers move and something happens, but you don't know why you're doing certain things. Like very often I have no idea why I decide to make a certain phrase slower or softer and then come out again, and it's almost like you're on a ride of waves, you know, like, and you're moved to do things. You don't decide consciously, you know, I mean, I'm going to decide and play this certain way. No, you don't do that. You let go and you guided by a
Yes.
deeper spirit. And when I played for a spiritual master, that's exactly what I experienced. Actually, even deeper than that. I felt like music was doing itself, and it's there.
The music was playing you.
Yeah, no, it was like doing, it's just kind of arose, you know, and happened. And, and it's very unusual when you experience that. And it's probably like the height of happiness when you experience it.
Yes.
When I did my debut and I performed with Baltimore Symphony, I had experience like that as well. I felt like me and my conductor at that time, Tom Hall, and the audience, there was 3,000 people. I felt suddenly like I'm above myself and we're all just connected with just a huge source of energy. It was incredible. And I think I couldn't sleep for a week after that experience. I totally lost the sleep. I was like...
It's interesting.
I went, you know, in different space.
It sounds actually like the typical descriptions of out-of-body experiences,
Yeah.
to tell you the truth, where you go beyond your physical form, you go beyond the three-dimensional reality into a level of consciousness that
Yes.
is beyond. And you are no doubt conducting some of that higher intelligence, if you will, into your body, which is then, of course, making the music or,
Right.
or conducting.
And I think that's how music should be. That's
Yeah.
the purpose of, I mean, along with the beauty and sensitivity, and it touches people's hearts. I mean, makes you cry, but the higher purpose is to experience God.
Exactly
And
true.
for me too, to kind of be invisible, you
Yeah.
know?
Exactly, as the instrument.
Yeah.
An instrument playing an instrument, if you will, right?
Yeah.
You've played for, among others, Adidas Samraj, is that so? Would you describe a little bit of what that experience was like?
It's so incredible that you can't find words for it almost. But
Do you feel that he was communicating with you in a sense while you were playing?
I think that it's just, I was totally, like as if I was enlightened and I was part of the air almost, you know, like there was no
Yes.
physical body, it was just, I mean, you all one, that's what you experience. But physically you experience something which I never did before, you know, you feel like certain forces come through you. And you know, you like in your body you feel it. It's not just
Yes.
in your mind, you know.
Sure. You, on the one hand, have memorized all of what you play.
Of course.
It's all
yeah.
completely imprinted,
Yeah.
right? So then you can kind of let go, because your hands, your body's been trained. It knows where to go, what to do.
Yeah.
Could you, before you said that sometimes you'll be softer on a note, or you'll linger on a note, or something, you know, the interpretive aspect.
That's when I know I'm inspired.
Could you give us just a taste of what that would be like?
If
Like
I
a
play?
like a difference, yeah. Right now, give us a difference of like the interpretation of a phrase or something.
Yes, sure. When I play, you know, your favorite piece, Fantasy
One of
Impromptu,
them.
right? You can play. You do like this, for instance. And you go here and you do it so like this. You can do anything you want, you know. You can pause, do like this.
Exactly. And then resolve.
But you can do other ways. You can start soft and go a little bit faster. I mean, there's so many, but it all depends from the mood and you're playing, and suddenly what you want, what you're expressing at the moment.
Yes, yes.
But that's why music is so amazing, because there's so many colors and gradations, and it's limitless.
Sure,
It's limitless.
sure. No, that was really nice. I was really able to follow how you can extend a sound and build the tension and then release it.
And you kind of play, you know, like
Yeah.
you play with the audience because you want them to go with you, and then you want to release, and then you want to take them.
Exactly.
And you want, and they breathe with you. That's the greatest concert, is when you make people breathe with you.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the more people you have, the harder it is. Or sometimes
To coordinate and get it in unison.
yeah.
It is harder, uh-huh.
Or for me, sometimes it's the easiest when you come and there's packed concert hall. I don't know, because I get inspired from the energy of the
Yes.
people.
Yes. Do you, when you walk out onto Carnegie Hall floor on the stage, do you feel trepidation, or do you feel elation, or both?
I feel it's like a privilege to walk on that stage.
Is your heart racing, or is it excitement?
It's spiritual and exciting, but I prefer if it's not racing. The heart. I prefer that heart is calm.
One of the things about music is that you have been actually implying in what you've been saying is that it brings people together. That on the one hand, you feel people in a sense breathing with you, and you of course in turn are breathing with them. But you know what also? They're breathing with one another. So in a sense, you're creating a unison. This is one of the most beautiful parts of music. So I just wonder what it's like when you are playing and you're entering the essence of the music and you're surrounded with all of these people. Do you feel that they're actually giving you the energy that's helping you ride that wave that you're talking about?
Absolutely. Yes, definitely. That's why it's so wonderful to perform. Otherwise, people would sit and play alone in a room.
Yeah.
You know? And I love performing. I could perform every night. And for me, it doesn't matter which group. It could be Carnegie Hall, it could be 10 people in somebody's apartment. In fact, I do so many smaller concerts for that purpose, because...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You also, as I recall, have played for different spiritual groups as well as, like, you were playing for the Police Benevolent Association or veterans, is that right?
No, it's a memorial breakfast, NYPD memorial breakfast.
Yes.
And once a year, it's very touching and moving experience. They honor all the widows, people who lost their husbands or children.
In service.
In service during the year. And there's a beautiful service on Marina de la Rey, right on the water. And about 500 people come, and Mayor Giuliani and a lot of important people come. And for 3 years already, I play a piece as part of a service. So it's really nice that my music kind of, you know, has that role.
Exactly, it really is.
Really.
That's why I wanted to bring it up, because there are many musicians who will concertize, many who will just play in their house or their apartment, and then there are others who will make themselves available in service to any number of groups, because everyone needs to hear beautiful music.
Yes, I also do a lot of benefits. Like Glaucoma Foundation, I donate private concert for their purpose, and actually a lot of them coming to Carnegie Hall. And
oh, wonderful.
So I try to do that the music serves higher purpose, and me too, along with that.
God, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's just take a moment to remind everybody that Katya will be performing at Carnegie Hall on Wednesday, May 23rd at 8 o'clock. So if any of you are interested, certainly you can get in touch and find out how to get there. I'll certainly be there.
Thank you. How do you get to Carnegie Hall?
Yes, practice.
Exactly.
One of the greatest classical jokes of all time. When you play different composers' music, do you ever sometimes get the feeling that you'd like to be composing and playing your own music?
I think I do, but I wasn't trained to compose, and for some reason I love so much Chopin, Ravel and Schubert that for me I love being in touch with their spirit. It's not like I need to compose something, you know? I feel like I'm a vehicle for them, and that's the purpose of my life. And there are people who are born to compose and make a statement, and that's their purpose in their life. In fact, for Carnegie Hall, there's a young French composer who composed a piece especially for my concert.
Really?
Yeah, and he's coming along with other 30 people from Paris. And
you have some following.
Yeah. And the pianist from Paris originally.
And part of your soul is originally from Paris,
Yeah.
I think.
Yes.
So you enter the spirit of the various composers, Mozart, Liszt, Chopin, and do you feel like you're connecting with what they would want their interpretation to be, or you're bringing your own and they're appreciating that?
I think that I bring my own. And I think I'm criticized for that too, because
Not by them, certainly.
not by them, but
Okay.
I could, you know, like all the artists who really want to say what they have to say often are criticized, but you have to do what it's in your.
Sure.
And of course I look at the music and I follow instructions, but I think at the end it's what I feel when I play Schubert. And I hope that he felt the same thing, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's definitely my interpretation, definitely.
And the interpretations, have they become, I guess my sense, Katya, is that they have been somewhat almost rigidified
Yes, I
over
agree with you.
time. And so it seems to me there's this desire to kind of break out, and even someone who is so immensely, intensely classically trained as yourself would still like to explode with your own music. That's why I kind of brought it up.
Yeah, but you know, for me it was always difficult, especially when I was growing up in Russia, because I always had my own, I had too much freedom, and people would say you play with too much freedom. It's, you know,
Wow.
but in the end, that's what brings people in a concert hall, that I play with that freedom.
Yeah.
Or expression, and I take a chance, and I say, you know, I'm risking something, but it's more alive. And
Yeah.
anyway, I cannot do it any other way.
Right, sure. It's interesting because when you grew up in Russia, which was then actually the Soviet Union, that you had more freedom than playing than, I don't know, freedom was not one of the key phrases in Russia at that
That's the
time.
only freedom you had, is artistic expression
Yeah.
in Russia.
Right, so you could really let go inside that, you know.
But still, the interpretation had to be very classical, very rigid, within certain box.
So it's still freedom, but it's still restrained.
Restrained.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought of, I hope you don't mind my asking you this question, have you ever thought of doing improvisation?
I did.
And then what happened?
I just don't, you know, like I'm too busy concertizing, I think. I'm not, it's not my passion.
It's not your
My
thing,
passion is to play Chopin and Schubert and Ravel, and there's still so much music I can learn and play. And I want to play at Carnegie Hall every year, and I want to do it in the springtime, like a romantic concert. And,
God, yes.
and I think, and I can learn how to improvise and do other things, but still this is my destiny.
This is
That's what
exactly.
I'm supposed to do.
It's nice, and you have found it. It's clear. I'm just asking questions to expand the paradigm because that's what I do. You know?
No, it's great.
Yeah.
And a lot of people ask me the same question, are you
Sure.
composing? Are you composing? I said, I would like to learn. You know, I would like to learn a composition, because without knowing something, you cannot really compose. You have to know. And I really don't know. I know how Chopin did certain things, how Mozart did certain things. We studied it at school,
Sure.
and they were genius.
Yeah.
Nobody can do what they did in the modern time.
Right. Right. It's true.
So I think, why to bother? I'd rather
Yeah,
play their
I
music.
understand. Oh, sure. Exactly.
And
Let them do what they're good at and let you do what you're good at.
And also I want to play it with a feeling, so people who are resigned to it come back and say, I want to go back to hear classical music, because it's very difficult nowadays to fill up concert halls because people are not interested. Because music became very stagnant and there's not enough life. And
That's right.
when they hear somebody to play with heart and put the emotions, they say, okay, you know, we want to come back.
Exactly.
And that's what I want.
What I feel you're helping to do, and I think the significant contribution that you're making is helping to bring back the sacred quality, which
Yes.
can be and is romantic. More than anything, it's beautiful and maybe even beatific. It's really the spiritual quality. Music is that. And then it became commercialized and entertainment and all these other ideas. But music is sacred activity. And I feel that your playing really helps to infuse that and make that very obvious to the listener.
Yes. And also, if you think about old times, there was no television, there was no newspapers.
Exactly.
I mean, people used to come to a beautiful home, socialize and hear music.
And listen.
And there used to be poets reciting poetry.
Of course.
I mean,
People would go into an alpha state and just
And they still do it in Europe.
Yeah,
In Paris,
exactly.
I had
They do, and that's why we're glad that you are here, playing at Carnegie Hall and around town. Thanks so much for being on the show.
that. Thank you, it's my pleasure.
It's really been great to have you. So listen in for the next few minutes and hear a little bit more of Katya's playing. And for those of you who would be interested, May 23rd, Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. at Carnegie Hall, you can hear Katya yourselves directly live. It's another very special kind of experience. Thanks so much for joining us. This is Mitchell J. Rabin for A Better World, and I look forward to seeing you all next week.